And once I have it the nice shape I want, I'm looking for like just basically cubes. So I'm gonna cut it into wedges first. All about the same thickness. So I'll do that with all these. Sweet potatoes are a little bit hard to cut through, so do that.
Do you have any recommendations for knives used for sweet potatoes?
I like just a chef's knife would be okay. This is my favorite here because it's kind of a workhorse. It's a chopper knife, but really any sharp chef's knife would do. You can see they're a little bit hard to cut through, so you do have to give it a good kind of punch if you need. We'll just do 5 for today. Make a small batch. So then once we got that, I'll kind of try to get you some room here. We'll go with our medium dice. And then we'll do our best to cube them. You want to get them as consistently shaped as possible so they cook evenly. It's always good to, just for chopping purposes, to tuck so you're not nipping off the pieces of your fingers. I'm gonna go get a bowl real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back if you want to get a picture of me putting in the potatoes to absorb some of the salt. I like to season every step of the way, just kind of mildly. So, just an eyeball of salt. Our water's going, so I'm gonna carefully drop everything in here. One thing you want to make sure and do is get the right size pot. So we got it working here. We'll probably do that for 2 to 5 minutes, depending on the thickness you cut them, until they're not quite done, but just blanched, far away cooked.
Okay.
So I'll let those do their thing. We'll go back over here. You want to do things sequentially in the order of what can be done passively. Like we can wait for this to cook, and that's the first step because it takes a minute. While we're waiting, we can do a couple other small things for our hash, like I'll dice some onions that we're gonna put in there.
Yeah, something I always struggle with is having everything get done at the same time.
The timing is the true dance,
Yeah.
You get that with practice and, experience. It's a constant learning lesson.
For sure.
So we got our onion. Basically what I did for this onion is I like to cut off the ends. You'll see some people only like to cut off one end. I like to just make it clean myself. You can save these for a stock if you want. I'm throwing them away because I'm not going to make a stock. But those little bits and pieces are good for a flavorful broth. So then we're going to want to keep the size, you know, somewhat consistent with our hash. So what I'm going to do is just do like a medium dice. There's multiple ways to dice. What I do is I cut slits in the onion, then I'll go through, depending on the thickness, I'll do 1 or 2 cuts like that. So then you have your starter, and then you just kind of go about the size of dice you want, and it creates a nice little quick way to dice. Take the last piece, finish it up. So it's, you know, it's not perfect, but for our hash is like a good leftover dish. It'll work. And we'll just dice the rest of those. Make sure you don't want any skins in there.
Definitely much more efficient than what I've done before when I'm frying to dice.
No, it's okay, and this one takes practice. But it's a good shortcut instead of completely, you know, cutting each piece and then dicing that. And based on your application, you can do it thinner or wider. But I'm just going for a medium. Got our onion. And then what else did you want in the hash? Start cooking that down, because that'll take a couple minutes. Mise en place, getting everything in its place. That's what that means. I'm sure you've heard that a couple times.
Yeah, in my high school foods class, that was definitely something we had to do for every dish we made.
Absolutely.
I'm not quite as good about it at my apartment, but I try my best.
Exactly, and you keep learning things each time. So like, you know, you want to mise en place all the ingredients, all the tools you think you'll need, and kind of in your head plan out the time order of the priorities. So we got our bacon. I think what we'll do now, they're kind of tiny, and oil so it doesn't stick. It'll produce most of its own fat, which we will actually use to saute the other vegetables in. Kind of break it up, let the bacon start rendering, doing its thing. In the meantime, it looks like our sweet potatoes are good. Come over here. We'll give them a quick strain. Keep cooking when they're together. It's called carryover cooking. So if you want to prevent that, you can do an ice bath in them.
Okay.
Or you could lay them out on a sheet tray too. So that's what I'll do for now. lay them out so they'll cool them more consistently, and then they'll be ready for the next step when we do the hash. So we'll just kind of set those to the side. We're going to want them about the same size as our onions. These are pretty good. You want to remove the seeds. They're going to be bitter.
Now I know these are like smaller sweet peppers, but one of my roommates thinks that all colors of peppers, including green peppers, taste the same. And I don't agree with her. I've never liked green peppers because I think they're more bitter than all of the other colors.
They are. I would have to say, I'm not sure I necessarily agree with her either. But maybe her taste buds are different. Not sure. I like the red ones personally. So I'll take out the white part as much as I can. It's bitter. Get them all cleaned up here.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do things like that in a while because of COVID. So.
I know, it's kind of depressing. You know, a couple soft ones. So we'll leave that one out. Shows you always gotta just keep an eye out. And you know, if there happens to be a spot on it, bad spot on the pepper or tomato, you can cut around it. Typically the rest of the pepper should be alright. These ones look good. Clean our cutting board off a little bit. Just do a little dice. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Now I know we're doing brunch today, and you said that the hash is a good leftover dish. Do you have a favorite dish that you make with leftovers?
I think hash is good. Soups are great for leftovers. Stews are great. You can also do, depending on the leftovers, you know, if you have baked potatoes, you can reheat them. They'll serve well as a mashed potato or something later in the day. Another example I'm thinking of is arancini. If you're familiar with what risotto is,
Yes.
you can take leftover risotto from one night and you turn it into little risotto balls because it gets stuck together. Basically little balls of risotto, and you bread those and they're to be fried. Delicious. So there's a lot of good ways you can plan your menu and your food for the week, thinking about the leftovers you can have. You know, having said that too, you can also, if you know you're going to do soup later in the week, you can make extra veggies for one of your earlier meals, for example. And you could certainly, with the intention, use those for the soup later in the week.
Earlier you mentioned sticking a cast iron skillet in the oven. I've only ever tried that once. I don't have a lot of experience with cast iron skillets not over the campfire. So what are some easy applications and like ways to get more experience with a cast iron skillet?
Well, like not in a campfire setting?
Yes.
I'd say, honestly, a cast iron is good for so many things. The real value I see in it is it's good for like one-pot recipes, or something you're going to start in the cast iron searing, and then you can finish it in the oven, because you can put that straight in the oven. It's really good because it's seasoned, and as you cook with it, it builds up a seasoning. It takes a little longer to heat up, but once it goes, it keeps it, I'd say, more consistent temperature. So some people use them as their main cooking pots. They get a true obsession and love for them. You can also do breads in them, Artisan Breads. We'll go take a look at our bacon over here. So we're getting some good color. Just break it up a little bit. You see all the fat we got that's rendering out of it. We're going to use a lot of that for saute our vegetables in for the hash to get some nice color. About medium is a good temperature. Medium high. If you're not in a hurry, you can always do low, medium, low, and just let it do its thing. It doesn't need as much babysitting. So we'll let that keep cooking down. I think we'll do about 5 for now. Should be enough for 2 omelets. Do 6. Nice even number. So we'll take this stuff, we're going to do the onions, the peppers, eventually the bacon, and we'll go start over here. We'll finish with the herbs. Bacon fat, I poured some of it out and left as much as I thought we would need. Turn the heat back on, about medium low if you're, taking your time. I'll put our onions in here. I like onions, so I'm going to put a lot, just a good amount. Going to let those go a little bit. What I'm going to do now is layer the flavor. So I'm going to let these get a little fragrant. This will take the longest. And in about a minute or 2, I'm going to add peppers, layer that flavor. And then once that gets a good saute, we're going to throw in our cooled sweet potatoes. Basically, we're going to give that about 5 or so minutes. Turn it, adjust it in the pan. What we're looking for is to get some nice color, some caramelization, and then you know, after a couple turns, we're eventually going to move this into the oven. So that's what we're doing now. Season a little bit along the way. You know, you have the option to wait till the end to season it. I like to do it phases along the way. That's kind of personal preference. I don't know what you like to do, Chef.
Mine to develop the flavor.
Develop the flavor. All right. Get it all coated in that fat. Whatever you season, just come. I like to clean as I go too, so I don't have a big mess at the end of me. Just practicing good habits, so always wiping down. I'm going to crank up the heat a little so I can get some nice color. You'll want to not overcrowd the pan too, so this is probably a good amount for this pan. Because when you overcrowd the pan, you're going to start steaming it instead of sauteing. So it's going to not get quite the color you want. Get everything tossed in the fat. And just kind of get it so it's touching the surface of the pan. And we're going to let that do its thing for like about 5 minutes. Let it get. I put the bacon in since it's cooked, or you can have sausage, bacon, whatever meat you're in. Once it's cooked, you can put that in last. Gonna mix it in. Got some good color on here. Almost too much, but it's fine. So then we'll make little nest. A couple eggs in here. Turn our heat off. We got our ovens already hot. We'll get a couple of our herbs. Got our little egg boats, and then I'm going to throw this in the oven right over here. Cook the eggs to our desired temperature. Can I put this on top, Chef?
90% done already.
Okay.
I'm just turning sideways.
If you're coring tomatoes, it's spider tomato core. Helps you get the most use out of your tomato. You get the core out, and then you can use the rest of it. So we're just going to do like a dice, so it'll be nice little bites for this omelet. Similar to our sweet potato. Just kind of go down the line. be plenty for what we're doing. This knife, you want to try to keep the acid off of it. Lemons, tomatoes, it'll kind of dull the blade out. Your oil in your omelet pan. A tablespoon or two, depending on your preferences. Now if we had like an onion or pepper omelet, ham and cheese for example, now would be a good time to like kind of pre-saute the onions or peppers before we added our egg mixture. Since we're not doing that type of omelet, spinach and tomatoes and cheese, you can do a couple scoops of your egg mix. I think we'll do about 3 for this one, maybe 4, about half our mix, 3 egg omelet. You can see the heat's a little high. We'll turn it down, just kind of let it do it. See, it's already starting to do its thing, so what we'll do is kind of get the extra egg so it cooks up, creates a layer.
So is the rubber spatula just less likely to tear the omelet than plastic or metal?
Yes, this is a commercial grade heat resistant rubber spatula, so it's very durable against high heats. You do have to be weary though. You know, they have a lot of rubber spatulas at grocery stores that aren't quite as same material that can melt very easily. So a good rubber spatula is going to help you not tear it, and a good nonstick pan will help too. This is a brand new one. So I'll put a couple tomatoes inside. I like them to be a little fresher. And then do our flip, a little seasoning. I like to get some cheese melted in the middle. And then I'll do a little on top too. But then again, it's kind of preference, how much you want, what you want your omelet to look like. Just kind of let it finish cooking. Probably about done. So then we'll get a plate. Getting all the liquids absorbed. You'll do one of these. See, there's no juice. And then I'll do a little cheese on top, just kind of for presentation. Maybe a little more salt, pepper, depending on your preference. Season everything.